My wife ridiculed my baking skills in front of her team, but she was left devastated when I left with her manager's respect and a superior position offer. Be me, 33 male. Just your average dude grinding away at the same IT support job for the last 8 years. Nothing special, but keeps food on the table. Met my wife, Catherine, 32, back in college. Back then, I was actually on track for something better. Had dreams of becoming an architect. According to professors, had real talent for design. Life happens, though. Catherine was this ambitious marketing major, always talked about climbing the corporate ladder. After graduation, she landed this entry-level position at Crown Peak Solutions, one of those trendy firms with exposed brick walls. They even had kombucha and craft beer on tap. Took what I thought would be a temporary IT job, just to support us while she established her career. Somehow temporary turned into 8 years of my life. Not complaining, at least wasn't back then. Thought we were a team. She'd always tell me, once I make senior account manager, we can focus on your career goals. That promotion came and went. Then the next one. Somehow my dreams kept getting pushed to maybe next year. Was making decent money. Nothing compared to what she was pulling in once she started moving up. She never let me forget it. Our apartment was filled with stuff she picked out. My gaming setup was relegated to tiny corner of spare bedroom. She called it her home office, even though she barely used it. When I tried to hang some of my old college architectural sketches, she said they didn't match our aesthetic. Replaced them with generic abstract art from some overpriced boutique in downtown Sacramento. Standing there adjusting my tie for like the 5th time. In our bathroom mirror, getting ready for Catherine's annual office party. Not just any party. First one since she'd been promoted to director of client relations. My stomach was in knots. These corporate things always made me feel like an imposter. "Thomas, are you seriously still getting ready?" she called from bedroom. That little edge in her voice that made me feel about 2 inches tall. "We can't be late. Lucas Winters will be there. He's the CEO, remember? I've told you like 1,000 times." "Almost done," I replied, smoothing down my new suit, the one I dropped $800 on, just so she wouldn't give me that look. That my husband is such a project look. She'd shoot it to her friends when she thought I didn't notice. Whole drive there, she kept coaching me like I was a child. "Remember to mention your project management certifications if anyone asks what you do. Please try to be more assertive than last time. You just stood in the corner like a statue." Each suggestion felt like a tiny paper cut, small but painful. "And don't bring up that Star Wars stuff you're always talking about. Nobody cares about your theories on whatever those wizard people are called." "Jedi," I corrected automatically. Immediately regretted it when I saw her roll her eyes. Whatever, just try to seem interested in marketing for once. Just nodded and promised to make her proud. Like always, but inside something was already shifting. Was tired, so damn tired of being the supporting character in the Catherine show. Event space was at some fancy hotel in downtown, all glass and modern art. People who looked like they'd never eaten fast food in their lives. Recognized few faces from previous functions. Mostly felt like complete outsider. Like wearing a costume in some play I never auditioned for. Catherine quickly spotted her colleagues. Pulled me along. Her hand gripping my elbow so tight I thought it might bruise. "There's Oliver's group from marketing," she whispered. Let me do most of the talking. Just smile and nod. Things went okay at first. Smiled when I was supposed to. Laughed at inside jokes I didn't understand. Kept her sparkling water glass full. Then her boss Richard approached with Lucas Winters, the CEO himself. Could literally feel Catherine's nails dig deeper into my arm. "Your quarterly numbers were exceptional," Lucas said to Catherine. "We need more of that killer instinct in the company. The way you handled the Wilson account, brilliant." She was beaming like someone had just handed her $1 million. "Thank you, sir. I believe women need to push boundaries in this industry. We can't let the old boys club hold us back." She threw in that feminist angle she always used around her bosses, even though at home she'd make me kill the spiders. And take out the trash because those were man jobs. Then conversation shifted to some rock climbing retreat. Company had organized it. Several executives had participated, including Catherine. "Your wife was fearless on that cliff face," Richard remarked to me. "What about you? Do you share her adventurous spirit?" Before I could even answer, Catherine let out this fake laugh. The one she always uses when trying to impress someone. "Thomas? Oh God, he gets vertigo standing on a stepladder." I'm definitely the risk taker in our marriage. He's more of a support person. Few chuckles rippled through the group. Could feel my face burning with humiliation. CEO smiled politely. Nothing wrong with being cautious. Different strengths and all that. But Catherine wasn't done. It's beyond caution, she continued, completely oblivious to how uncomfortable I was feeling. Remember when we had that mouse in the apartment last month? She pantomimed, trembling. Everyone laughed harder. He stood on the kitchen table screaming until I got home to deal with it. Took a huge sip of my sparkling water, wishing I could just disappear. That wasn't even how it happened. Mouse had startled me and I jumped, but her version made me sound pathetic. And when we go camping, he won't sleep without an air mattress. Insists on staying at sites with full bathroom facilities. Not exactly the rugged outdoorsman. She looked around at her colleagues. I swear sometimes it's like having another child instead of a husband. But he's so good with computers. She patted my arm condescendingly. Lucas's expression changed. His eyes shifted to me, what looked almost like sympathy. Richard cleared his throat, obviously sensing conversation had gone too far. Actually, Richard intervened, I was talking with Thomas earlier about his architectural hobby. Those 3D designs he showed me were impressive. Hadn't mentioned any architectural hobby. Didn't even know Richard knew my name until that moment, but recognized he was trying to rescue me. Felt this weird connection with this guy I barely knew. Catherine looked confused. Architecture? He doesn't... Perhaps you could send me some of those renderings, Richard continued, smoothly cutting her off. I've been thinking about redesigning my lake house. Conversation moved on to vacation properties, but damage was done. Stood there feeling like my soul had left my body, just an empty suit nodding and smiling, while inside I was screaming. Had spent last 8 years of my life supporting this woman. She couldn't even grant me basic dignity in front of her colleagues. For what? So she could seem more impressive by comparison. Worst part was knowing she'd expect me to laugh about it later. Oh, come on, I was just joking around. Don't be so sensitive. Excused myself to get some air. Walked out to this big balcony. Cool night breeze did absolutely nothing. To stop the burning humiliation inside me, stood there staring at city lights below, suddenly seeing everything clearly. Woman I married had just used me as punchline to boost her own image at work. Wasn't even the first time. Years of small comments and subtle put-downs suddenly crystallized into this painful pattern. I'd been ignoring, wasn't just the butt of tonight's jokes, was the designated loser in the narrative she'd constructed about our relationship. Gets old, doesn't it? Turned to see Richard standing in doorway, 2 bottles of sparkling water in hand. He offered one to me. Thought you might need this. Accepted with a nod, grateful for both drink and lack of pity in his expression. Thank you. And thanks for the imaginary architectural hobby. He leaned against railing beside me. My ex-wife did the same thing at every company event. Made me the punchline to all her stories. Dave can't cook to save his life. Dave got lost driving to his mother's house. Dave couldn't figure out how to use the washing machine. He took a sip of his water. After our divorce, I found out she'd been seeing her personal trainer for 6 months. Best thing that ever happened to me. We stood in silence for a moment. Listen, he said finally. I don't know you well, but I recognize self-respect walking out of a room. That takes more courage than impressing bunch of corporate drones who forget about this party by Monday morning. Didn't know how to respond, so just nodded. For what it's worth, he continued, I've been in this business 20 years. The people who last aren't the ones who build themselves up by tearing others down. That strategy always backfires eventually. He swirled his water. Between us, Catherine's promotion isn't as solid as she thinks. Lucas has been asking questions about that Wilson account. Looked at him surprised. What do you mean? Richard shook his head. Just that the numbers don't quite add up. Nothing I can discuss in detail. He trailed off, then changed subject. So did you really study architecture? Nodded. Yeah, back in college. Had to drop out my senior year when my dad got sick. Medical bills wiped out the college fund. Was going to go back, but then Catherine's career took off. It just never seemed like the right time. Richard nodded thoughtfully. Funny how we put our dreams on hold? Thinking it's temporary. And then wake up one day to realize years have passed. Yeah, I agreed, feeling lump in my throat. Funny, balcony door opened. Catherine appeared. She was clearly irritated, but trying to hide it with fake cheerfulness. There you are. Everyone's wondering where you went. Her eyes darted between me and Richard, narrowing slightly. Is everything okay? Just getting some fresh air and having a fascinating conversation, Richard replied before I could speak. Thomas was telling me about his background and architectural design, really innovative perspectives. Another fictional interest, but this time felt different. Less like a rescue, more like plot. We should get back inside, she said to me, her smile not reaching her eyes. Lucas's wife was asking about you. Actually, I said, finding my voice at last. I think I'm going to head home. Her smile vanished. What? You can't leave now. We've only been here 2 hours. I'm not feeling well. Wasn't entirely a lie. My stomach had been churning since her performance inside. Don't be ridiculous, she hissed, stepping closer and lowering her voice. This is important for my career. You can manage a few more hours. Stop being so sensitive. Richard cleared his throat. Perhaps I should give you two a moment, he said, but made no move to leave. No need, I replied, setting down my water bottle. I've ordered an Uber. It should be here any minute. Hadn't actually ordered one yet, but would as soon as I got downstairs. This is so typical, Catherine said, her whisper sharp enough to cut glass. The one time I need you to be supportive. You're running away because your feelings got hurt. I swear men are so fragile sometimes. Something shifted inside me then. Quiet certainty replacing confusion and hurt. Straightened my shoulders, looked directly at Catherine. I've supported you through 3 promotions, 2 career changes, and countless late nights at the office. I've attended every function, remembered every colleague's name, never once complained about being left alone at holidays. When you had to work, I put my own dreams on hold for 8 years. While you built your career, took a breath. But tonight you didn't ask for my support. You used me as a prop to make yourself look better. Her face flushed. You're overreacting. It was just harmless joking around. Was it? I asked quietly. Because from where I'm standing, it felt like you were telling everyone that your biggest accomplishment was succeeding despite being married. To such a pathetic loser, her gaze faltered, dropping to floor. In that moment, I saw something I hadn't been looking for. Insecurity disguised as confidence, fear masked as ambition. I'm going home, I repeated, gentler this time. We can talk tomorrow. As I turned to leave, Richard extended his hand. Good meeting you properly, Thomas. Hope you feel better soon. Shook his hand. Surprised by firm grip and business card he smoothly passed to me. Call me if you'd like to grab coffee sometime. I mean it about those designs. Apartment was quiet when I returned. Shed my suit. The expensive costume I'd worn to fit into her world. Stood in shower until hot water ran cold, letting it wash away evening's humiliation. Sleep didn't come easy. Laid awake, replaying years of subtle hints. Way she'd interrupt me when I talked about stuff I was interested in. How she'd roll her eyes when I suggested vacation ideas. Constant little improvements she wanted to make. To my appearance, my speech, my hobbies. Like time I'd spent months building custom gaming PC when I finally got it running perfectly. She'd said, "That's nice, honey. Maybe now you can focus on something productive." Or when I'd excitedly shown her sketch I'd drawn of our dream house, she'd replied, "It's cute that you still think about that stuff." Morning brought clarity instead of reconciliation. Catherine hadn't come home. Text message at 6 a.m. told me she'd stayed at Olivia's place because she didn't want to continue argument while emotional. Translation: she was avoiding consequences of her actions. Called in sick to work. Something I rarely did. Spent day in this weird limbo, between anger and possibility. Dug out my old architectural sketches from college, the ones Catherine had deemed not matching our aesthetic. Spread them across dining table. They weren't half bad, especially urban renewal project. That had won me departmental recognition. By afternoon, found myself staring at business card. Richard had slipped me. After hesitating for an hour, finally sent text. "This is Thomas from last night. Taking you up on that coffee offer if it still stands." His response came quick. "Good to hear from you. 3 p.m. at Silverbean downtown." Coffee shop was upscale but not pretentious. Richard already seated in corner booth. When I arrived, dressed casually in jeans and button-down, Thanks for meeting me, I said, sliding into seat across from him, though I should probably confess, I've never shown you any architectural designs. He laughed. I figured as much. But I wasn't entirely making it up. Catherine mentioned once that you studied architecture in college. Said it was cute that you thought you could make it in that field? That stung. I'd never told her it was cute. When she failed at her first 2 marketing jobs. Yeah, well, it was more than cute to me, I said. Pulled out my phone, showed him photos I'd taken of old college projects. Before I left apartment, I was on track for internships at some decent firms. Before life happened, Richard scrolled through images, his eyebrows raising slightly. These are actually good, really good. The spatial awareness, the integration with surrounding environment. You had a genuine talent. Conversation flowed with surprising ease. He wasn't just being polite or feeling sorry for me, was genuinely interested in who I was. Found myself sharing things I'd kept buried. My abandoned passion for architectural design. Small business plan I'd shelved. When Catherine's career took priority, my growing sense of having lost myself in shadow of her ambition. So all this time you've just been putting your dreams aside while supporting hers? Richard asked. I guess I thought that's what marriage was, I admitted. Compromise, sacrifice. I figured my turn would come eventually. Compromise should go both ways. Richard pointed out. When was the last time she sacrificed something? For your dreams? Couldn't answer that. Because truth was she never had. Why did you really ask me here? I finally questioned. Corporate loyalty would suggest you should be taking her side. He considered this, tapping fingers thoughtfully on table. Corporate loyalty is overrated. Human decency isn't. What I saw last night wasn't someone building up a team. It was someone stepping on another person to appear taller. He paused. Plus, I recognized something in you. That reminded me of myself 15 years ago. Sometimes people need a nudge to remember who they are. Before we parted, he made unexpected proposition. My team's working on new downtown development project. Mixed-use building. With residential and commercial space. Given your background in architecture, would you be interested in reviewing preliminary designs? Fresh eyes can spot things we've missed. And it might be therapeutic. Was stunned. I don't have any professional qualifications. My design experience is theoretical at best. Sometimes theoretical is exactly what we need. No pressure. Just take a look and give me your honest thoughts. He slid thumb drive across table. Use new email address to send feedback. This is under radar. I don't need Catherine knowing. I'm consulting with her husband. That evening after Catherine returned, with carefully rehearsed apology, including phrases like work stress, and didn't mean to embarrass you, but never actually acknowledged what she'd done, sat down at my long-neglected desk, plugged in the drive. Designs were ambitious, blend of modern and historical elements, would transform neglected corner of downtown. Lost myself for hours, examining renderings, making notes, sketching alternatives. First time in years felt my mind fully engaged. Neurons firing with creative energy. That had too long been dormant. Barely noticed when Catherine came in, hovering uncertainly at threshold of our home office. What are you working on so intently? She asked. Her voice carefully neutral. Didn't look up. Just a project. She moved closer. Trying to see screen? Work project? Since when does IT support? Need architectural renderings? Closed laptop? Feeling strange new boundary forming between us. It's personal. Her face registered confusion. Then concern. Personal? What does that mean? Her eyes narrowed. Are you talking to someone else? Implication was clear. In her mind, only personal project I could have would be an affair. She couldn't even conceive of me having independent interests or goals. I'm exploring some possibilities, I said vaguely, enjoying for once being one with information she wanted. She hovered for another minute, clearly expecting me to elaborate, but I stayed silent. Finally, she retreated, realized something had fundamentally shifted. Apartment felt different. Not because she had returned, but because I was no longer same person who had left for party 2 nights ago. Reopened laptop, began drafting email to Richard, signing it with my name followed by architectural consultant. Title was aspirational rather than factual. But for first time in years, Gap between two didn't seem unbridgeable. 2 weeks passed in strange, new domestic rhythm. Catherine walked on eggshells around me, overcompensating with forced cheerfulness. Sudden interest in my day. Remained polite but distant. Spending evenings working on development project, rather than watching mindless television beside her. Email I'd sent to Richard led to flurry of exchanges, my suggestions sparking genuine interest from design team. What began as courtesy review had evolved into meaningful consultation, several of my ideas incorporated into revised plans. They're implementing your courtyard concept. He texted one morning, "Team wants to meet mystery consultant, 1 p.m. tomorrow." Stared at message, equal parts thrilled and terrified. This was no longer just therapeutic distraction. It was becoming real. "I'm not qualified for actual meeting," I replied. His response came immediately. "Neither were half-successful people I know. When they started, 1 p.m. at office? Business casual? I'll meet you in lobby." That evening mentioned casually to Catherine that I had lunch plans downtown next day. "Oh, with whom?" She tried to sound merely curious, but caught sharp edge of suspicion. "A potential client," I answered. Not quite lying, but not elaborating. "A client for what?" she asked, setting down her fork. "I'm exploring some consulting opportunities. In architectural design." Her fork paused halfway to mouth. "Since when are you interested in architecture? And what kind of consulting? You don't have certifications?" "I've always been interested in architecture," I said quietly. "We talked about it when we first met. I showed you my sketches." That was a hobby she dismissed. "You can't just suddenly decide to call yourself consultant." "Actually, you can," I replied. "Especially when people value your input." Closed my laptop and stood up. I need to prepare for tomorrow. Could feel her staring at my back as I walked away, trying to process this new version of her husband. One who had interests and ambitions. Beyond supporting her career, next morning I dressed in best business casual outfit. Not suit she'd picked out for me, but clothes I actually felt comfortable in. As I was about to leave, Catherine appeared in doorway. "Who exactly are you meeting with?" she demanded, no longer hiding her suspicion. "A development team interested in my design perspective," I replied, grabbing my portfolio, one I'd spent all night putting together, complete with my old college work and new ideas for downtown project. "This doesn't make any sense," she insisted. "You work in IT. You've always worked in IT." "I worked in IT to support us while you built your career," I corrected her. "But that was never my passion." "You knew that?" As I headed for door, she called after me. "Is this about the party? Are you trying to punish me?" Paused, hand on doorknob. "Not everything is about you, Catherine. This is about me reclaiming something I lost." Corporate headquarters was intimidating. 60 floors of gleaming glass and steel. Adjusted my blazer in lobby, questioning my sanity for agreeing to this meeting. What did I think I was doing? Playing at being professional. In world I didn't belong in. Right on time, Richard appeared, greeting me with firm handshake. "Ready to impress some people?" Meeting room contained 5 people, all dressed in that understated expensive way. That signaled serious success. My hands felt clammy as I was introduced, simply as consultant who solved our courtyard challenge. "Walk us through your thinking," a gray-haired woman prompted, gesturing to renderings projected on wall. Took deep breath and began explaining issues I'd noticed with original design, shadowing problems at certain times of day. Wind tunnel effect building orientation would create missed opportunity for green space. That would increase property values and tenant satisfaction. As I spoke, my voice grew steadier, fielded questions, sketched alternatives on digital whiteboard, found myself in spirited debate about merits of various materials. For 90 minutes, I forgot to be intimidated, forgot I wasn't formally qualified, just lost myself in pure pleasure of creative problem solving. When meeting concluded, gray-haired woman approached me directly, turned out to be firm's senior partner. "Your perspective is refreshing," she said. "Most consultants tell us what we want to hear. You told us what we needed to know." She handed me her card. "We have another project breaking ground in 3 months. Would you be interested in more formal arrangement?" Felt dizzy with possibility. I would need to think about it, of course. "But don't think too long," she smiled knowingly. Talent doesn't need credentials to be valuable. That evening I was going through meeting notes, When Catherine returned from work earlier than usual, something about her demeanor seemed off. Strange mix of anger and anxiety that raised immediate red flags. "How was your meeting?" she asked, her voice tight. "Productive," I replied cautiously. "Why?" "Imagine my surprise," she said, dropping her bag on counter with thud, "when I was called into Lucas's office today to explain why my husband is suddenly consulting on downtown project with my supervisor. And there it was, the moment of truth. I didn't realize I needed your permission to pursue professional opportunities," I said quietly. "Don't play dumb, Thomas. You deliberately kept this from me. Do you have any idea how this makes me look? Like I can't keep my own husband in line? Keep me in line?" Those words hit me like slap. "Is that how you see our marriage?" I asked, genuinely shocked. "That I'm someone you need to keep in line? You know what I mean?" She backpedaled. "It just looks weird. People are talking about what? That your husband might have talent and value outside of being your supportive spouse? That's not fair," she protested. "I've always supported your interests." "My interests?" I repeated. "Not my career, not my ambitions, my cute little hobbies, that you could pat me on head for." She threw up her hands. "What do you want from me?" I said I was sorry about party. I had too much sparkling wine. I was trying to impress Lucas. I went too far. "What more do you want?" "I want you to understand. This isn't about party," I explained. "Party just showed me clearly what I'd been ignoring. We built relationship where your dreams were priority and mine were sacrifice. I accepted that arrangement for so long that I almost forgot I had dreams of my own." She reached for my hand, but I stepped back, needing physical distance to maintain emotional clarity. "What exactly are you doing with this project?" she asked, her voice smaller now. "Consulting on architectural elements of downtown development, and they've asked me to consider formal arrangement for future projects." Her eyes widened. "You're not qualified. You never finished your degree. Apparently talent and insight matter more than credentials to some people." Her tone shifted, becoming accusatory again. "And Richard arranged all this. Why would he do that?" I shrugged. Maybe he recognized something in me. Maybe he just wanted to help. Or maybe he saw how I was treated and decided I deserved better. She flinched as if I'd struck her. "So this is about punishing me, embarrassing me professionally as revenge." "Not everything is about you," I said quietly. "This is about me rebuilding something I lost. It has nothing to do with revenge. You've been lying to me for weeks. While meeting with my boss, how am I supposed to interpret that?" "I didn't lie. I just didn't volunteer information you never asked for. When did you last ask about my day? My interests? My ambitions? Not what you needed from me, or how I could support you, just who I am and what I want." She opened her mouth to respond, then closed it again, realization dawning in her eyes. Next few days were tense. Catherine alternated between fake supportiveness and passive-aggressive comments about my sudden career change, but something bigger was brewing. Could feel it in way she'd furiously text during dinner, or take hushed phone calls in bathroom. One morning, about a week after my meeting with design team, received urgent text from Richard. "We need to talk now." Not on phone. Met at quiet cafe far from Catherine's office. Richard looked grim. "Catherine's trying to sabotage you. She's filed formal complaint with HR, claiming I've engaged in inappropriate professional relationships by hiring her spouse without disclosure." My stomach dropped. "Can she do that?" "Technically, there's no rule against hiring spouses of employees for consulting work, but she's spinning it as conflict of interest and suggesting we only hired you to curry favor with her for Wilson account." "That's ridiculous," I said, feeling betrayed all over again. "She knows that's not true." "Of course it's not true, but she's desperate. There's something else you should know." He hesitated. "The Wilson account numbers? The ones we've been questioning. Catherine's been manipulating data to make her results look better. Nothing illegal, but definitely against company policy. Lucas was already planning to audit her work next month, and now she's trying to discredit you. Before that happens, I realized, make it look like you're one with professional ethics issues." Richard nodded grimly. "Exactly. What can I do?" I asked. "We need evidence that you're hiring was based solely on merit. Your original email critiquing our design, did you send that from personal account? That Catherine doesn't have access to? I nodded. I created new account like you suggested. Good. And your design suggestions predated any knowledge of Wilson account audit. I didn't even know about Wilson account issues. Until today, I confirmed. Richard looked relieved. That helps. But there's another problem. Catherine's claiming you've been using insider information she brought home to gain advantage with project. Felt sick. She's one who never talks about work at home, except to brag. I knew nothing about this project. Until you showed me, I believe you, but we need to prove it. I thought for a moment. She has personal journal. She writes in it every night. All her professional victories and strategies. If she's been manipulating data, it might be in there. Richard frowned. I can't ask you to invade your wife's privacy. It's my apartment too, I said firmly. And if she's trying to destroy my one chance at rebuilding my career, just to protect her lies, I think I have right to defend myself. That night while Catherine was at her emergency yoga session, which I now suspected was strategy meeting, with her allies at work, I found her journal hidden in underwear drawer, felt twinge of guilt as I opened it. But that vanished as I began to read. It was all there. Her deliberate manipulation of Wilson account data, her strategy to keep Thomas focused on supporting my career, by discouragingly commenting on his architectural hobby, and most damning of all, entries from past week, plotting to discredit Richard. Before he could expose her falsehoods. Richard thinks he's so clever using Thomas against me. She'd written, but I'll make sure they both regret crossing me. Took photos of relevant pages, my hands shaking with anger and betrayal. This wasn't just about party anymore. This was about years of calculated suppression, of my dreams, to keep me as her supportive sidekick. Next morning I sent photos to Richard. With simple message, do what you need to do. 2 days later, all hell broke loose. Catherine came home in tears, her face blotchy with rage and humiliation. You bastard! She screamed as soon as she saw me. You went through my private journal? You gave my personal writings to Richard? Do you have any idea what you've done? I remained calm. I know exactly what I've done. I defended myself against your attempts to sabotage my career, just like you've been doing for years. They suspended me, she shrieked. Pending full investigation of Wilson account, my reputation is ruined. Your reputation? I laughed bitterly. You mean reputation you built? By lying about your results and stepping on others? That reputation? She collapsed onto sofa, suddenly shifting tactics. Tears flowed as she looked up, with those manipulative eyes I once found irresistible. Thomas, please, she begged. You have to help me. Tell them you misunderstood. Tell them I never meant to hurt your career. You know how important this job is to me. To us. To you, I corrected. It was only ever important to you, and you were willing to destroy my one chance at reclaiming my passion. To protect your lies. I can fix this, she pleaded. I'll tell everyone how proud I am of your architectural work. I'll support your career change completely. We can move past this. Sat down across from her, suddenly feeling nothing but pity. Catherine, do you even hear yourself? Even now, you're only offering to support me because you need something. That's not how partnerships work. What are you saying? She whispered, fear replacing manipulation in her eyes. I'm saying I'm done being your supporting character. I've accepted formal consulting position with downtown development. I start next week. And us? She asked, her voice small. There is no us anymore, I said gently. I've already packed my essentials. I'm staying with friend until I find my own place. You can't just leave, she cried, suddenly desperate. We can work this out? I'll go to therapy. I'll do whatever it takes. I shook my head. I've spent 8 years hoping you'd see me as equal partner. With my own dreams. It took you facing consequences for your actions. To even offer that, and only because you need my help. That's not love, Catherine. That's just self-preservation. Her face hardened, mask of vulnerability dropping away. Fine, leave. But don't think this is over. I still have friends at company. They'll see through whatever lies Richard fed them. They're not lies if they're backed by evidence, I reminded her. Your own words, Catherine. In your own handwriting. She stood up, eyes blazing. You think this makes you some kind of man? Sneaking around behind my back? Going through my private things? You're nothing without me. Nothing. Who do you think paid for most of this apartment? Who kept us afloat when your pathetic IT job had layoffs 3 years ago? I picked up my duffel bag, surprisingly calm in face of her rage. I guess we'll find out who I am without you. That's what scares you most, isn't it? Idea that I might actually succeed on my own. As I reached door, she called after me, her voice suddenly small again. Thomas, please. I love you. I paused, feeling strange mixture of sadness and freedom. I think you love idea of me, the supportive husband, who never challenges your spotlight. But that person doesn't exist anymore. Door closed behind me with soft click that somehow felt more final than any slam could have. It's been 6 months since I walked out of that apartment and my old life. Downtown project is nearly complete. My courtyard design becoming one of development's signature features. Been hired as full consultant on 2 additional projects. Taking night classes to finally complete architecture degree. Wish I could say transition was smooth, but Catherine didn't go down without fight. She tried to turn mutual friends against me, with stories about how I'd abandoned her. During minor work issue, she even showed up at my new apartment once, alternating between tears and threats. Strangest part came 3 months after our separation. When company's investigation was complete, Catherine was fired for data manipulation. On her way out, she apparently had complete meltdown in lobby. According to Richard, who witnessed whole thing, she screamed that everyone would be sorry. When she revealed truth about conspiracy against her, 2 days later received desperate email from her. Thomas, I need your help. They've destroyed my reputation in industry. No one will hire me. I know I made mistakes, but I didn't deserve this. You know how hard I worked. Please, if you talk to Richard, tell him I've learned my lesson. Tell them I deserve second chance. I have nothing without this career. Please. I didn't respond. After 8 years of putting her needs first, was finally focusing on my own path. Last week, heard from mutual friend. Catherine had to move back to her parents' house in Nevada. Her LinkedIn now lists her as marketing consultant, which usually means unemployed. Meanwhile, senior partner at Richard's firm has offered to sponsor me for accelerated architecture program. That would complete my credentials within year. Sometimes feel guilty about how things ended. Never wanted revenge, just wanted respect and chance to pursue my own dreams. But then remember all those years of subtle put-downs, the party humiliation, and her willingness to destroy my opportunity just to save herself. Guilt fades pretty quickly after that. Greatest revenge wasn't exposing her lies or watching her career implode. It was reclaiming my own potential, part of myself I'd almost forgotten existed. And no matter what happens in my new career, I'll never again make myself small to make someone else feel big.